Hello, and welcome to Women Speak, a production of the Women's Resource Center in Wayne. I'm your host, Mojdeh Keykhah, and each month I focus on a topic that is of interest to women and the people they care for. This interview is being conducted via Zoom during the Coronavirus Crisis 2021 on MLTV Mainline Network. Today, Women Speak is honored to talk with three people who have participated in WRC's Girls Lead program in different ways. My first guest is experienced Girls Lead facilitator Marissa Rosenzweig, who currently implements the program at Radnor Middle School. My second guest is Regan Whitehead, a student who participated in Girls Lead at Radnor this school year. And my third guest is Regan's mother, Sara Whitehead, a Girls Lead parent. Girls Lead has been one of the Women's Resource Center's main programs since 1999 and has been implemented at Radnor Middle School since 2007. The program seeks to help adolescent girls, mostly in 7th grade, to learn life and leadership skills and collaborate on a group leadership project. The girls are chosen by their school's guidance counselors having untapped leadership potential. Marissa, Regan, and Sara, I am so happy that you are joining Women Speak today and that we will be discussing your experiences with Girls Lead in this extraordinary year of virtual programming. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah.
Marissa, I wanted to start with you. Could you please describe the Girls Lead program in a nutshell?
Sure. So thank you for also the introduction of the program as well. So Girls Lead is a 12-week program. The girls spent the first half of the time building the key leadership skills of communication, conflict resolution, problem solving, and decision making. And then the second half of the program is when the girls implement their very own leadership projects. So we start the program off by having the girls explore what leadership means to them, and then they identify issues or concerns that they have about the school, their community, or even the world overall. So then the leadership program is the culmination of the skills discussed in the first half, and then putting them into action and choosing one issue and developing a way to create positive change through that advocacy project.
Thank you, Marissa. Regan, now that we've heard all about the program, can you tell me how you think you've changed through Girls Lead?
Thank you, but I think I've changed because I can do more things with my leadership skills, and I've learned a lot in it. And yeah, it helps me, and it can give me skills that I can help in the real life too. Yeah.
That's marvelous. And Sara, how have you seen your daughter change from before and after the program?
I've seen Regan grow in her confidence skills significantly. Previously, she would be nervous about speaking in public, about approaching different situations. But over this past year and through the help of Girls Lead, she's been excited to go into new situations and speak publicly, speak different thoughts that she has going on in her head. And the biggest thing really is just her confidence. And it's been amazing to watch.
That's really exciting. And to all of you, how has the pandemic changed Girls Lead this year? Marissa, I'd like to start with you about that.
Sure. So I think that it's made Girls Lead more valuable and more applicable in my opinion, I think it's offered some more of those real life situations, even just as Sara mentioned, where the girls are using the skills that we're developing. So for example, if the whole family's working from home and the children are going to school virtually, I think it's likely and inevitable, right, that there will be a conflict that pops up or a problem that needs to be solved. And I think that the girls can really put those skills in place.
So they can really apply them right away.
Exactly.
And Regan, how did you find Girls Lead this year? It was virtual.
Yeah, so I think that it probably would have been a lot different because we had to work around Zoom problems. So, and there's a lot of people that were in it that couldn't come to school, and a lot of people that had to. So when we had to work in groups, we had to figure out ways around that. So yeah.
So you had overall a good experience with the virtual.
Yeah, because it was like super fun, and it also taught me a bunch of things. But yeah.
Great. And Sara, did you notice when Regan was going on for Girls Lead? Was that part of her school day?
So Regan would be in school for most of her Girls Lead meetings, and she would get so excited the day of, and then when I would pick her up from school, that's all she would talk about a new friend that she made or a different activity that they did, and she would tell me in depth every little piece because it was so exciting for her, and it really made me happy because this year has been so difficult for her to be able to find joy in meeting these new girls and experiencing new situations. It was something that I know a lot of other parents weren't able to do with their children. So the fact that my daughter was able to experience it was wonderful.
Yes, definitely. One of the benefits of Girls Lead this year is the social interaction with other girls, their cohort at the school. Regan, how would you describe Girls Lead to another girl who may be interested?
I would probably say it's a place where, along with meeting new friends, you also learn things that help you in school and in your future, like leadership skills and communication tactics. So yeah, basically just it's good.
And did you say that it was also done in a fun way too?
Yeah, it was like really fun because along with we're learning things, but like we still have friends and we talk to our friends during it. Yeah. And we also make new friends.
That is important, especially this past year. Marissa, what benefits did you see happening in Girls Lead Girls at Radnor and with Regan?
So you really start to see the girls flourish and kind of come into their own during that final project. And I see that year after year. So this year, our final project was peer mentoring. And I think a huge benefit that I saw from the girls is that they chose the topic to mentor sixth grade students to offer them advice, support, and friendship since the sixth graders were starting a new school during a pandemic. So the girls all had a tremendous amount of selflessness to identify the need to help someone else in their community during a year where we all need help, right? They still wanted to support someone that needed a little bit more than they did, which I thought was just so inspiring. So during the planning of the project and facilitating the one-on-one mentorship sessions, we all knew it was going to be a little bit of a challenge to get the sixth graders to feel comfortable. And we didn't want the sessions to be awkward or silent. We wanted to make sure that it was a meaningful experience. And the seventh grade girls in Girls Lead were able to deliver the great tips and just presence that they had to offer to the sixth grade girls. So Regan specifically set the whole stage of the project. So she led the icebreaker activity. She introduced what we were going to do. She just had such excitement and confidence that the entire room of sixth graders immediately trusted her, and they were able to let their guards down and therefore have those real conversations to make the peer mentoring meaningful. So I wasn't there in person. Of course, I was watching it through Zoom, but I just think it was such progress in Regan to be this confident, fearless leader.
That's amazing. And also it seems that the final project of mentoring sixth graders made everyone a little mini leader in their own pairing with the sixth graders. So that's remarkable. That's leadership experience right there. Sara, what would you say to another parent who was interested in Girls Lead?
I would 100% recommend that they at least have their daughter try it out. There's absolutely nothing to lose, but a ton to gain. As Marissa and Regan had said, Regan got to meet a bunch of sixth grade girls where in a typical school year, she may have passed them in the hallways. She may have maybe played sports with them or had different activities outside of school where she would be able to meet them. But this year, there was not that opportunity. Regan made so many new friends, and she built her confidence because of these new friendships, where she met these girls in a situation that some of them may have been a little bit scared, and she was able to ease their fears, which was just absolutely amazing. And we'll be driving down the street and she'll say, "Oh, that's my friend so-and-so. I met her in Girls Lead." And she would have never met these girls outside of the program. So I'm very thankful for that. I would recommend any parent at least try it out, inquire more, learn more about the program. And like I said, there's absolutely nothing to lose but a ton to gain.
That's great. And especially with Regan and the sixth graders, I remember when I was in sixth grade, that was a big jump from one school to another, from the elementary school to the middle school. And instead of being at the top of the hill, you were at the bottom of the hill again, because you were at the first of the 3 grades in middle school. So that's an extraordinary achievement overall. Marissa, I wanted to take a step back and ask you what you see as the challenges to the in-person schooling, re-entry into schools, and how does Girls Lead help with these kinds of situations like social anxiety and other situations?
Yeah, so I think the pandemic ultimately has changed the way that we interact with one another. And just to your point, I think it's definitely created some new social anxieties as well as maybe some insecurities, since we haven't been interacting with people in the same way for maybe a year or longer. So the foundation of all the concepts that we talk about in Girls Lead, specifically communication and conflict resolution, the foundation of all those concepts is really coming down to understanding your individual needs and the needs of others, and just knowing that there are needs in both parties that need to be met in order for anything to be effective, specifically relationships. So I think that Girls Lead will really help the students create new relationships and strengthen current ones, because they understand that there might be some diversity in the need, that in your own needs and the needs of others that the pandemic has created.
And I wanted to follow up with that. Could you describe what makes Girls Lead unique in your view?
Sure. So I think that Girls Lead is, I call it a creative outlet for the girls. And I think that the final project is really it really gets them to think in a way that they might not in their other classes. So from my experience in working with the girls at Radnor, every single year, the girls are giving presentations to principals, to school board members, to principals at high schools and elementary schools, and schools that they might not have even attended, or people that they might not even have met before. So they're getting in front of these leaders in their school and community. They're distributing surveys to their peers to measure if the program or the project that they want to implement is a good idea, right? If people are going to participate in it. They're creating flyers. So they use either like PowerPoint or different online resources to design flyers to spread awareness and promote their project. I just think it gives them these organic opportunities to learn what it's like to turn an idea into reality. And to Sarah's point, I think it's definitely a great opportunity to have the girls do some more public speaking, because I know that that's a common fear in everyone, especially at that age.
Especially for girls that are still forming in their intellectual capabilities.
Exactly.
To introduce them to all these skills gives them a real informed toolkit to face almost any situation with confidence. That's really marvelous. Regan, how important is learning teamwork part of Girls Lead?
It's super important, because you can't really do anything if you can't, like, in a job or in a relationship, you can't do anything if you don't work together with other people. Yeah, sometimes it teaches you how to take lead in the group. Sometimes it teaches you how to, like, sit back and let other people take the lead. Just like communicate nicely and make sure that you both get what you want.
That's a very insightful comment, that you can be the leader, but you can also be the listener in a group. And you can make suggestions in a group as a listener. You don't have to be the leader to be the one to make suggestions. That's a valuable lesson right there.
Mm-hmm.
Marissa, how have you found that teamwork is a part of Girls Lead, and how important is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think Regan pretty much took the words out of my mouth, but I think the program just is this, it inherently fosters teamwork because there's 20 girls working on one project, right? So it's one team and one goal. And I just think that in order to really succeed, you have to listen to others and you have to provide that feedback, which is something that we work through during Girls Lead. I know that sometimes feedback can be an uncomfortable conversation, but it's so critical to teamwork. So I think that it just allows the girls to really learn from one another.
That's great. And Sara, with regards to other programs you might have seen, for example, sports programs or other things, how do you think Girls Lead is different from those programs in providing leadership skills? What makes it special or unique?
I think that it's unique because it does help girls focus on the communication aspect of a team and in leadership. How Regan had said, sometimes you're the leader, sometimes you sit back and you're the listener. And typically, I have found in some sports programs, there's some people that naturally take the lead because they're naturally more athletic. And I feel that in the Girls Lead program, everyone's walking in with an empty slate. Nobody's ever done this type of project before. Nobody's had these interactions, and especially during a pandemic. Nobody's been through this. And the Girls Lead program was helping the girls learn how to plan for the unknown and work together through every situation, find a common goal to help everybody succeed.
Those are some valuable insights, especially planning for the unknown. That's something that leaders in our society have been doing this past year to the maximum. So those skills can really come in handy. Regan, I wanted to ask you about, what is your biggest challenge this past year, and how did what you learned in Girls Lead help you with that challenge?
You're on mute.
I think that the biggest challenge this year was when first we were all on Zoom, and that was really hard to get projects done because we'd never done this before and we don't know what to do. And it helped me with the communication mostly. And also, if we were in a group and nobody knew what to do, I'd be assigning jobs as long as everybody's good with that. And then when we went to hybrid, when there's half of us in the classroom and half of us not, then that was a completely different set of challenges because you're not all on Zoom anymore, and some of you have resources, some of you don't, and then the next day you have to plan for that. So I think Girls Lead helped me with the planning and the leadership of that. So yeah.
So it helped you to overcome any of the challenges with the virtual programming and also the hybrid model too. Yeah. That's good to hear. And are you more interested in leadership in general now, Regan, than you were before Girls Lead?
Definitely, because I think before Girls Lead, when I pictured leadership, it was just a boss in an office building go you do this, you do that, blah 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 blah. But yeah, now I know you can be a leader and a peer or friend at the same time. You can be let's do this together. Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely more interested because I also now have more tactics to be able to do it. So yeah.
And can we just follow up with you with the Girls Lead virtual conference? Can you tell me about the conference?
That was fun. So the girls that were in Girls Lead at RMS, we all went into this room. We all joined the same Zoom, and there was 70 people there, and we did activities and we did raffles, and yeah, and then at the end we all became frogs.
And tell me about that. Was that something that happened spontaneously? Tell me about the frogs. Yeah.
Yeah, something happened spontaneously, and then a girl from our mess suggested, "Oh, we should all go to Walmart and buy green dye." And then we calculated how much money we'd have to spend to buy a bunch of green dye to dye in the girls' league. So yeah, it was fun.
Great. And Marissa, how was the girls' league conference from your perspective?
So typically the girls are all together in an auditorium setting, and they have breakout sessions in smaller rooms. So they get to have that face-to-face connection with one another. And even just the time walking to the different rooms or sitting next to someone different in the breakout rooms, it's a great way that the girls can meet their peers from a completely different school, a completely different township that went through the same program as they did. So ultimately the goal is to celebrate the girls and celebrate the projects and the great work that they did in the community. But it's also nice for the girls to just meet another face that they might not have ever met before, since the program really is rooted in making these connections and strengthening relationships. So this year we still had kind of an abbreviated version of that, where the breakout sessions were virtual and we might not have had that quality time, but the chat feature within the Zoom was live the entire time. So if you met a girl in your breakout room that you might have had something in common with, you could privately message her, you could message the group, and you could still communicate with one another that way. So the frog story that Regan's talking about. So Regan used the chat feature to start a whole conversation with all 70 of the girls. So it was just amazing to see that even though we weren't having the face-to-face connections that we usually do in the conference, we almost had stronger conversation this way because you could reach more people just through that virtual chat.
I think that the chat function in Zoom has been an enabler for people, especially with that they are online and they're not seeing people in person, to connect, to really have that chance to link with other people and to discover other people's ideas and thoughts. And what was extraordinary was that, as you mentioned, Regan used that as a leadership experience and started a whole conversation that people piled onto. It was an amazing phenomenon to witness during the virtual Girls Lead Conference. So thank you both for talking about that. And I'd like to ask you all, what is the one thing about Girls Lead that you will remember going forward? How about we start with you, Sara?
I think the one thing I'm going to remember about Regan's experience is just the excitement. Like we've mentioned before, this year has been a crazy year for everybody, and there have been times where it's been hard to get excited about anything. Regan would come home with such a smile on her face and tell me such great stories about fun conversations she's had and new friends that she's made. And as a parent watching children struggle this past year, it was the light of my day as well, knowing that she had such a great experience. I was so thankful that Regan was able to be in this group and that somebody had recommended her because she grew so much, and the smiles that came to her face were just, it was amazing to watch.
That's really heartwarming. That's nice to know that such a transformation can occur within the 12-week program. And Marissa, what is the one thing that you would want to remember from this year's Girls Lead?
I would say this. I'm so happy that this program had such a positive impact on Regan, and I hope that she carries these skills with her forever. And she was such a pleasure to work with and watch grow and develop throughout the program. So I will always remember this.
Thank you. And Regan, I'm going to end with you. What is the one thing about Girls Lead that you will remember going forward?
Besides all the skills I've learned, I think the friends, because the friends that I met in Girls Lead, even though the program's been over for a few weeks, I still am really close with those friends, and I eat lunch with them every day. So yeah, I think that will stick with me for a very long time.
That's awesome. So you've made friends that are long lasting beyond the program. And
Yeah.
would you like to see some kind of a grouping, maybe later on, a reunion of sorts?
Yep, definitely. Yes.
Well, that's
100%.
That's a wonderful endorsement. Thank you so much.
Yes, girls lead people, make it happen.
And thank you so much, Regan, Sara, and Marissa, for sharing your expertise and experiences with us today. You certainly gave a lot of insight into how Girls Lead changes lives. To learn more about Girls Lead and about all of WRC's programs and services, please visit WRC's website at womensresourcecenter.net. To our viewers, again, thank you for watching Women Speak. I look forward to bringing you more in-depth conversations in future episodes. Thank you.